Welcome to the Navigator podcast. Hello and welcome to the Navigator Academy, Module 33, Service and Support Best Practices. Today we have Mike Boettcher. Mike, you've won the kind of Best Dressed Award thus far, so good on you.
That's what I was going for, Brad. Thanks.
Awesome. So Mike brings over 20 years of experience in systems integration and a wide range of roles and responsibilities. He's held departmental management, regional leadership, and multiple corporate positions overseeing general management, sales, operations, and service. He's most recently been hired as president of Edge, formerly the USAV Group. Prior to that role, he served as president of Global VC, U.S. Division of New Era Technology. During Mike's tenure, New Era Technology was recognized as a top 50 systems integrator by SCM. Congratulations on that, Mike.
Well, thank you.
Mike's also served as president of NSCA and served on its board of directors since 2014. He holds the Certified Technology Specialist certification from Avixa. So Mike, thanks for bringing your experience to this module's discussion on service and support best practices.
Oh, well, happy to be here. Thanks for the invite, and can't wait to get started here.
Great. So you're now leading an organization of over 90 integrators with a presence in over 40 countries. How important is service and support to Edge?
Well, I mean, Brad, you know me, I've been talking services for a really long time, right?
Absolutely.
So, kind of where I cut my teeth. So, and I think in today's environment, right, I think now more than ever, it's pretty much a vital part of the client experience. You know, the ability to support not just like a vast territory, whether across the country or the globe, but diverse systems environments too. So there's so many elements in play. And I think, looking back at now what they're starting to call like the master services provider concept in building management, I think, from our standpoint, that we need to bring together the resources and those conversations and the right partners to help our members be a part of that conversation. It's just vital at this point.
Awesome. And again, I know your service background. So what philosophy and practice are you bringing, either bringing new or bringing to bear to member companies within Edge?
Yeah, it's kind of it's a has to at this point, right? There's no avoiding this conversation any longer. So, and I think, there's so many very simple things that you can do. One easy example of that is making service a part of your original proposals. Right. There's little things like that are just simple and easy to do. But also there's so many different flavors of service out there that you don't have to like change your business model, right? You can stick to what you do and the culture that you have as an organization and supplement that with a lot of things that are available in today's market. So I think just, having an open mind and being flexible, I think is the way to approach it.
But like you said, you got to incorporate it. So you got to start, you got to give them the opportunity to say yes.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it long gone is that we're thinking about service. You're in at this point.
Got it. So Edge has partnerships with over 250 technology solutions providers, and with the pandemic and supply chain and all of that, how important are these relationships in really providing that holistic service and support?
Well, that's kind of our tagline, right? Unparalleled partnerships. It kind of makes everything, right? Because you can't do all this stuff by yourself, right? If you try to attack all this on your own, you'll be buried under, everything. So, and going back to the last point, if you can find these best-in-class partners, true partners, and you can provide an end-to-end solution, and you can then stay focused on what your strength is in your organization, I think that's the win. And I think secondarily too, that you got to be open to some different thought processes. Look in different places. There's lots of new technology out there today that wasn't available 10, 15 years ago, which can kind of ease your pain in getting into the services endeavor. So we have some partners that are doing some pretty cool stuff, some available, some are still kind of being baked at the moment, but people are thinking a lot differently these days.
Awesome. So given that, I mean, with supply chain and the employment conversations people have, inflation, recession, whichever side of the coin you're on, but all those are kind of here to stay. And then we have elections and all that conversation. How are you positioning Edge and its members for the future?
Is that all that's going on? That's it?
That's all that's, yeah, well, that's all I had,
Yeah.
time to say.
Geez.
you know.
Yep. Yeah, I think the one key thing is that if you're still doing business the same way today as you did yesterday, you're probably not going to be around tomorrow, right? All of this stuff going on, like usually we've been able to tackle like one or two of these issues at a time in business, right? But having them all happen at the same time is driving some people crazy. It's overwhelming, right? I mean, every which way you turn. So part of that conversation has always been about diversification of business.
Yeah.
And whether that's vertical markets or whether that's adding services and all that other stuff, that's a piece of that for sure. Kind of helps bridge the gap during some of the challenging times. But part of it is also thinking differently, like we mentioned before. New technologies, new things out there. Don't think the same way you've always thought. And I think for us, it's important to increase that communication with our membership and our partners. And whether that's internal communication or external, I think it's both at this point in time. It's pretty key in dealing with all this stuff because it's all happening fast, all at once and fast. So you don't have time to breathe a lot of, right? So I think having those conversations, doing the things like we have special interest group conversations, right? So once a month, our members get together and talk about whatever issues are pertinent at the moment. And they drive the agenda, they drive the content, but that communication really does help solve problems. Doing things at meetings, like having you come moderate
Right.
our last meeting is a great example, right? So we had a discussion on project management. And there were probably a half a dozen different styles of project management that people are doing, right? They all have their pros and cons, but they all have an issue to deal with one way or another. And putting them out there on the table and talking through them really certainly helps folks manage all this stuff. So I think with that, with some of the other great resources that we can bring together and connect people with, NSCA has some great stuff out there,
Right.
Talking about cash flow and there's like, they have a white paper and I think it's like 24, 27 points along the way in your business that you can talk cash flow. And you're like, wow, that's a lot of things you can do. You don't have to do them all, but you can do a few of them. Because, cash right now at the moment
Cash is king,
is
right?
huge, right? It's a huge issue. And it hasn't been for a long time, right? Interest rates were so low, it really didn't matter. Well, today it matters. So there's a lot of things you can do as an organization to handle the cash that's required to carry all the inventory that you're coming down with, because I haven't talked to anybody that doesn't have like containers in their parking lot or, additional warehouse space, and all the desks that used to have people are now piled high with boxes, right? That kind of stuff. So, but again, it all comes across with the concept of being able to communicate quickly and to act quickly in this environment. I think is vital.
Well, great. I appreciate just the leadership flavor you brought in the couple of months you've been there. So I look forward to a longer relationship, and especially in your new role. We always have, as part of the Navigate Academy, our book club. So what business book are you reading, and what are you learning from it? It doesn't even have to be a business book, but we try and push it that way.
I usually just wait for the movie, Brad. So
okay.
No. It's funny. There's a bunch of books out there on service specific, right? Like how to bring your organization, how to think like a service organization, and that kind of stuff. Like today, it feels like somebody publishes a book, and by the time they publish it, it's irrelevant at that point, right? Because things are moving so quickly. But honestly, for this topic, there's tons of industry information out there, right? Magazine articles, white papers. There's tons of stuff out there to help you through all this stuff. There's great economic reports out there. And I've been doing a lot of that, more so than normal.
Got it.
And not just in the industry, but, just in the environment in general. And so I haven't read anything recent, but I've been sticking to the industry stuff. And
I'd say that a lot of that is confirmational. Like, guys, if you're not in it, there's no excuse anymore. And now you're behind the curve.
Yeah, definitely behind the curve at this point. But that's not to say that, it's not right there in front of you to be able to tackle it.
Exactly.
And there's plenty of stuff to help you get started. And there are plenty of people to help you get started. And that's always been the thing about this industry is the people are amazing. And everybody's willing to help and to discuss and to talk you through stuff. So can't be shy about that. Most people aren't, but yeah, it's just an awesome industry, and the people in it are certainly willing and able to help anybody
Great.
along the way.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Mike, for your insights. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, Brad. Always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Bet.